All right, I just wanted to give a update on the expedition. I don't have any videos like you know, uh, install or whatever. I mean, there's plenty of people that do that or all that kind of stuff or whatever. But I figured somebody's probably interested in this expedition build or whatever and stuff. So I figured I'd update it along the way. And currently right now I can't do any pulls or anything like that. I'm currently since my last video I've added the CV Fabrications Titan V2 intercooler. I did a lot of searching and stuff like that, and given the expedition I can't run the full race front mount, full intercooler, whatever, the one that it's a full front mount. It's not just the one that sits basically in the space of the front bumper. It covers the whole front end, but I can't run that on mine. So and honestly it's not a necessity. I mean, this intercooler I don't think will be a problem. I mean, once it's all said and done, this expedition should be, given the turbos and everything else that we're going to be doing, this expedition should be somewhere north of 800 to the tire. And I could be wrong about that, could be a little bit lower, but it should be, just based off of everything that me and my tuner have talked about, it should be a little bit north of 800. But again, that's just not, it doesn't really matter what power it makes. It just matters if you can put it to the ground and if you can put it to the ground efficiently. But with the CVF Titan V2 intercooler, I mean, it's plenty. I mean, I don't think it'll become a problem. I don't think it'll be a restriction, or have any problems cooling the charge air or anything like that, at the power level that I'll be at with the size and the design of it. In the past I've ran the CVF Titan, the V, version 1, I guess you'd call it. I've ran that one 3 separate times. I've and the full race, and didn't really notice much of a difference between the full race and the Titan, not at the power level I was at. So the Titan V2 should be plenty. I mean, it's a very well built intercooler. I've got actually some AMS turbo inlets sitting in the back. I just haven't put them on yet. Being stock turbo, there's really no point in them. I mean, the factory turbo inlets, I guess you could say they're a restriction, but they don't, if you look at them and given the doing, like, just from me doing data logs and stuff like that with these factory turbo inlets, I've seen my turbos, these factory turbos, I've already seen them flow. Now this is together, this isn't individual turbo, but this is together. I've already seen them flow 59 pounds. So that's pretty good. So that tells me that the factory turbo inlets are not a problem. That's not to say that I won't pick up a little bit, but where the AMS turbo inlets are really going to shine is with the aftermarket turbo. Once I put the bigger turbos on here and stuff like that, that's when I'll really, that's when they'll really shine. And even the company that I'm getting the turbos from, they even say, that it's recommended, that you need to run the AMS turbo inlets with those turbos. Really, with any aftermarket EcoBoost turbo, you really need to upgrade the turbo inlets. But and of course I've got the S&B air intake, which, I mean, in all honesty, my 2.7 that I had, I had an Air Raid Junior intake tube with a factory air box, and that was fine up until I did the bigger turbos. Once I did the bigger turbos, that was whenever I needed a better, actual, better intake box. And it's not necessarily the box, it's the filter. That panel filter, and I'll argue anybody with this any day, that panel filter, once you start getting, some good turbos in your truck, or, I mean, I've even seen it do it on factory trucks, it'll actually suck that panel filter. It'll start collapsing that panel filter, and that's what you don't want to do, because whenever you start collapsing that panel filter, well, since it's flat like that, once you collapse it, it creates voids on the edges, and that actually allows unfiltered air to go past those the edges of the filter, and it can even cause your filter to bend to a point to where it completely restricts your intake tube. So no, once you get to that point, yeah, you need a better intake. But stock turbo, full bolt-on, E85, whatever, the factory intake box or the airage in your intake tube is perfectly fine. But yeah, right now, so far on the Expedition, I'm E85, I am S&B intake, and then the V2 intercooler. As far as performance mods, that's it. I'm currently right now running out of injector. Did some data logs and stuff like that, and my injectors cannot keep up. So right now I've got a set of FIC 850s, waiting on those to come in. And once those come in, I'll put those on or whatever, and we're going to see how far we can push these stock turbos, which he already knows how far we can. Should be able to get this thing somewhere up to close to 600 to the tire on stock turbos. And once we do that, then it's going to be turbos. And the turbos I'm putting on here, like I said, that should be the turbos themselves are capable of 850 plus. So I mean, we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I got to do custom exhaust on this thing, because a single 3-inch is not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough to flow what those turbos are going to put out, and then it's going to end up being a back pressure issue, and that's a no-no on the turbos. So what I'm having to do is create my own Raptor exhaust on this thing, and once I do that, I'll do like sound clips and stuff like that. But as of right now, that's where I'm at, waiting on my injectors, waiting on the downpipes. I'm having to do, I'll have to do custom downpipes and stuff like that, and do my own custom exhaust. That way I can run dual 3-inch, because for the power level that I'm gonna be at, I'm gonna have to have dual 3-inch, just based off of what basically you have to look at what the turbos will put out, and you basically have to look at how much a given section of just straight pipe will flow, and you have to figure out your horsepower, and for your horsepower, say per 1 horsepower, you have to be able to flow about 2.2 CFM. So if you're looking at 800 horsepower, well, you need somewhere around 1800 CFM or more. So you're getting into the territory of dual 3-inch exhaust will flow that. Single 4-inch, you're running the line, the ragged edge right there of single 4-inch, and that's straight pipe. You got to factor in mufflers too. That's why I'm going dual 3-inch. That way I can run a little bit more. I don't want to say restrictive. A muffler is restriction. That's the quieter the muffler, the more restrictive it is. But that's why I'm going dual 3-inch. That way it gives me some room for mufflers and resonators if I want to add those in. But that's where I'm at right now. Once I get to that point, I'm already working on a drag pack, which I'm gonna make another video on that, because I'm not somebody, you'll never see me with this fancy expensive drag pack or whatever. I'm not gonna spend money on like Bogarts or stuff like that. And I've found wheels that are half the price of a set of welds, but they're lighter. They weigh less than welds. They just aren't welds. They're not as flashy or whatever, and I don't care for that. They serve the same purpose, and I'm not trying to impress anybody. But given that this is an Expedition, nobody makes aftermarket suspension for these things other than leveling kits or whatever. I've reached out to all different kinds of companies about making coilover kits or whatever and all this kind of stuff, and nobody's interested, so I'm having to do it on my own. So with that being said, I'll probably run into issues with my 60-foot and launches and stuff like that, just for the fact that nobody makes aftermarket suspension for this thing. So I'm going to be doing this all on stock suspension, with the exception of the fact that I'm lowered. I will be doing a coilover kit on the front. I'll have to figure that out. That's not going to be that bad. The bad part is going to be the rear end, because the rear end is different from any other vehicle except for a Navigator, and nobody makes anything aftermarket for a Navigator. So I'll have to figure all that out, whatever. Even the trailing arms and control arms and stuff like that in the rear end, it's all going to be trial and error as far as that goes. But yeah, I'll be updating along the way. Since I'm sure somebody will ask. Right now, I don't know what kind of power I put down on the ground. I don't really care, but if I did have to guess, you know, my tuner thinks I'm somewhere between 560 to 580 wheel horsepower right now, and I trust him. I trust his judgment, so I'd say that's probably where I'm at. Once I get the FIC 850 or 850s installed, I should be somewhere touching 600, and then from there it'll be aftermarket turbos, and probably have to do some kind of dual fuel pump system and a return, you know, setup and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it'll be we'll just have to see how all that goes. It'll be kind of trial and error for the most part, but that's where I'm at right now, so I'll keep updating as I go.